What's up, everybody? JP here with the Leprechaun Fantasy Workshop. Here to talk about a lot of fun stuff today. DM tips, some things, physical items you can use in your game, some projects you can do that will take your storytelling to the next level, and then some projects that don't require any materials and some that would require 3D printing, that kind of thing. But a whole wide variety of different things. So we're going to get into it. It should be a lot of fun. Again, thank you for joining us. Sorry, I've got like a tickle in my throat going on. But if you guys have followed my Instagram, followed my channel, you know that I'm a crafter. I like to make a lot of things for D&D, not just terrain and miniatures, but I do a lot of physical objects that the players can hold in their hands and utilize. For instance, last night, if you followed our stream, we made these potion bottles. This is the final result. So as you can see, the dice are in there. They, jiggle around. It's the resin. They're separate from the players who just pop the cap off and pour that into their dice tray as a supreme potion of healing. For an added little twist, I put a wax seal on the tops of all the potion as the mark of like the alchemist, something like that, so they know they're genuine. The reason why I did that, I'm kind of evil with my players. Every now and then my players will run into a deal that's too good to be true. For instance, the last time this happened, one of my players purchased a wand of fireballs that they thought it was a wand of fireballs, and I had created this is on my D&D Beyond channel. Put that back over there. The player purchased a wand of fireballs, and I actually wrote it that it would work the first time. It would cast fireballs, and so the player, the person selling it was like, yeah, try it out, you'll love it. And the wizard's like, no, but I believe you, and it was like 200 gold or something, like something that a real wand of fireballs is a whole lot more. So the mage, the wizard, gets into a fight, and first cast of fireballs, it works, and great, a bunch of damage. Second cast of fireballs, it blows up, and damages the whole party, and, the wizard is furious, he wants to find that shopkeeper. So, again, I'm adding a little story element by just putting a little wax seal on my... sorry, focus! I'll focus someday. You focus. Alright, there's a wax seal on there. I guess it's not gonna focus on it. Whatever. With the wax seal, again, my players can run into an alchemist, and if it has a certain seal on it, they know it's genuine. And I could, then have some unscrupulous character sell them something. What they think's a potion of healing is, I don't know, piss in a jar, whatever. I can make it up, whatever. And by the way, that whole thing, Sweeney Todd, Demon Barber of Fleet Street, if you're a musical fan, I'm a huge musical fan. There's a huge thing about hair cream, Pirelli's miracle elixir, and if you rub it on your head, it will make hair grow, and it turns out to be a bottle of piss. So that makes me laugh. So I put that in my game. So, like I said, we're going to talk about some stuff. I've got a lot of fun gadgets we're going to get into. So we got a Cryptax, we got a Dwarven puzzle box, we have a mysterious wooden box, we have a crystal gem, and then a whole stack of journals, a piece of leather, which is interesting. We're going to talk about each one of these things, so there's a lot of fun to it. So, first off, again, every one of these elements is me telling a story. And, if you're a big fan of fantasy, which I am, you have, the quintessential fantasy book, The Hobbit. And there's riddles in the dark, Bilbo and I almost called him Goblin for whatever reason. Gollum trade riddles back and forth. And everybody has that stipulation of riddles and D&D. Everybody wants to repeat what Tolkien did, and you throw a 5th grade level riddle at your players, and watch their heads explode because they just can't figure it out. I actually did that. I wrote a riddle because I want to make sure they couldn't Google it, and my players almost all died. Almost 4 of the players of the, it would have been a KPI or a total call TPK, because my there was a couple players that were not in the room in the trap that the riddle had, but it was close. It was very close. So there's other ways to riddles. Puzzle boxes are great. So here we go. If you're a fan of the Da Vinci Code, we have the crypttext. So each one of these dials spins, and then there's a set of arrows going across, and inside of the crypttext, if I spell the word right, and let's spell the word right. I'm not going to tell you what it is because this is actually in my game, and the players have been trying for 2 years to figure out what this thing says, and they still don't know. Alright, so then it just opens up. I could put a scroll, like a roll of paper in there. I could put, a key. There's a whole mess of things that you could do with that. Now, obviously, I had to buy this. This is made of solid brass. This weighs about the weight of, I don't know, like a baseball. It's pretty heavy. But yeah, this is great story element. I can give this to my players, and here you go. They're without clues. There's hundreds of words in the alphabet. It's got to be a 6-letter word, or it could be a code. It could be gibberish. However, so this is a great element, story element, and the answer to this is actually a part of. It's a riddle. I gave the players a riddle a long time ago, and they still haven't figured it out. So that's just one thing, and you can find those online if you put in like codex. I'll try and put something in the link. I believe there is a company that caters to D&D players that sells this. I picked one up. It was like a engagement thing. It was like a great deal. They had inside of it had like 2 wedding, like a him and her gold and silver ring, and so I got it for like $30 or something like that. I know it's not that anymore. That's why if you looked at the tube, it has a heart carved into it. Don't care. It fits my needs. So that's the codex. Again, it's just an idea. You don't have to have the one from Da Vinci Code or something like that. The next is just a box, right? Simple box. You could have a child give this to the players. You could have an elf give this to the players. It's made of wood. And I mean, again, this is something you can hand over to the players. Now, I'm going to regret this, but I mean, this is a puzzle box. There's a way to solve it. This rotates. I don't think that rotates. But there's a trick to getting this to open. I've already got it set up, so it would just open anyways. But it's a... If you know the trick to it, which I just did, it'll open up and there's a compartment inside. Again, I can put a scrap of paper, I can put an object, I can put, something that will give meaning to the players, and they will, proceed on, or, could give the next clue, or could give them a new quest, something along those lines. So puzzles are a great way to, expand your game horizons. This is something I did 3D print this. This is a Rubik's Cube. I got it off Thingiverse. This was totally free. The files were completely free. And I will tag, I will remember that. I will tag the person because I want to give credit where credit's due. But yeah, this is a Dwarven puzzle box, as I call it. Each one, I don't know if the camera will focus on each symbol. And they're a little bit out of... Come on. I have it locked on my face. But you can see each symbol is different. All of them. And the whole purpose of that, if you actually look into D&D and you look up the schools of magic, the 6 sides of this are 6 of the schools of magic. The ones that aren't on here, I think, is necromancy and illusion or something like that. And so I use this as a legendary item. If my players are watching, I'll smack you. I'm kidding. But I'm not going to tell you the secret to it. But it's a Dwarven puzzle box, and the players, if they can solve, like, one side, whatever school of magic's on that side, it might do something. On the next side, but if you solve the whole thing, maybe it'll do something else. You don't know. It's your story to tell. Think of it like, what's the Critical Role has the happy fun ball. That's what they call it. This is a literal thing though. Somebody can play with it. It's the sides really do rotate. I got to sand it down a little bit because I did 3D print it at the highest level I could, so it'd be rigid and solid, and so it doesn't want to turn all the way so easily, not like a child's Rubik's Cube. But here's an idea. You can go out, buy a regular Rubik's Cube. Just go to your regular toy store, whatever. I would say Toys R Us, but they don't exist anymore. Sad. You can go out and get a Rubik's Cube, spray paint it a color, and then draw a design on it, and then clear it, and now you have a magic cube, it's still a Rubik's Cube. It's still magic. Anyways. So, yeah, that's another idea for your game. It's a physical object your players can handle, screw around with, try and solve, figure out. I'll tell you right now, when I was in the army, we had a guy in my unit who carried around a Rubik's Cube with him everywhere. And, he could solve it no matter what. He knew there's some, 2 to the left, 1 to the right, if it's in a certain configuration. He knew the solution. I've looked it up online and tried to do it. I cannot do it to save my life. It's, and so unless one of your players is one of those people who just, it makes sense to them. And then this is even more of a challenge because it's not colors. It's matching the symbol on the inside. So, yeah. It's going to take some time. And you can have them take this home and figure it out. Players are still adventuring while they're adventuring, right? So, that's another fun thing that I wanted to mention. Again, I 3D printed that. I got off Thingiverse. I'll try and put a link in the description on my YouTube channel. But I'll try to do it on Twitch too, but it'll definitely be on YouTube. The other thing that I want to mention with the Rubik's Cube, like I said, you don't have to have a 3D printer. You can go out and make something else that works in the same way. So, this is something I did straight up buy that I just wanted to share. I have another set coming. But if you guys are a big D&D fan, you'll know about the Deck of Many Things. It's a magical deck of cards that will just destroy the world. It's very, very great. Very, very cool. I don't recommend if you're a new DM or if you are a DM and you're starting a campaign to ever introduce this deck until you get to level 20. But I just want to share Deck of Many Things. This is a legit deck with individual cards just as they are in instead of pulling out a deck of cards, a regular deck of cards, and pulling out this card and that card and putting it in, you don't have to do that. This is an actual, real, dedicated deck of many things that your players can, handle and carry around with them if they find it. One of my players currently does have the Deck of Illusion, and I have it on order. I'm waiting for it to come in. I'm very excited. And because, currently we've been doing, every time he pulls a card, you got the 9 of Hearts. And I have to look it up in the DM guide, and it's this. I wanted to have a real deck and they're like tarot cards. They're, you pull a card and here it is. It's magical. It does this. It's really cool. So another thing to share, you can go out and also find things in your game. Now, again, I had to go out buy that. I bought that online. It's from, just throw them out, Hit Point Press, thedeckofmany.com. This is not a plug for them or anything like that. This is not a paid advertisement. I really like this. This is really cool. I've had it in my game for a long time. My players do not have it yet because they are level 8 or 9, something like that, and I don't want to break my game before we get really into it. Alright, so the next part, and this is a big thing I've talked about when we were talking about campaign building, is journals. Now, these are not all journals that I'm carrying around with me, and you know, this is my DM book, this is my whatever player book, this is an idea for a DM to use as a story element. So if you guys have ever played Skyrim, very popular game series, you know, oh, well, look at this, look at that, you know, and everything on the books, you know, and if you go into Skyrim, you see a book, you can read it, you can pick it up, you can look at it. And it gives you, like, a backstory into the world. What I use, like, this is a main story element in my game. I gotta find a page that's not too crazy. So, here we go. This is a journal. I've been writing in it for forever. There's the cryptext that the players have already encountered. You know, there's Dwarven text that actually translates to something. I have written, Googled, you know, Dwarven words, you know, or Dwarven letters, and, you know, that translate to English. And then I use those to write messages. And I do that for a lot of stuff. One of the rogue in my group is absolutely fascinated with Thieves' Cant, and he's desperate to find Thieves' Cant. So I do have Thieves' Cant, and we're just waiting for the moment that he finds it and loses his mind. But I mean, I have, you know, this is an adventurer's guide that they're gonna find, and it tells a story from this adventure. And I mean, it's not 1 or 2 pages. It's, I think it's like 60 pages currently. It's not done yet, but I mean, that's just one more thing you can have to your game. You don't have to have. I mean, here's another one of those journals. This is from the Elder Scrolls. What was it called? Loot Crate, way back when that this came in. I got 2 of them because I made a mistake. But yeah, I mean, a really nice, you know, leather-bound journal. I mean, I wouldn't have gone after this. You know, it came to me in a box, and I'm like, I'm gonna use that. That's really cool. Other alternatives to that. When I was first starting out, I was actually gonna use this as a player, but. So this is a really, really nice leather bound with stamping and engraving and Celtic knots and all that stuff. Got this off Amazon, and it wasn't. I mean, I don't remember what it was, honestly. But and I mean, there's a lot of pages in this. You can fill this up. You can build your, you know, your own player spell book, whatever you want to call it. I know a lot of players like to keep a journal. My players mainly do digital, but some players like it old school and, you know, write everything down. I like to write everything down. Now, those are like a bit more expensive options. You don't always have to go expensive. Another thing that I have is that I picked up are these. They come in a 3-pack. You can get them at, I believe it's like a main branch Office Max or Staples. They'll have it's like usually a swivel kiosk kind of thing in there with a bunch of journals in them. And these are there you go, moleskin. I still have the card in there, and it's moleskin with an E at the end. And this came in a pack of 3. And so again, I'm putting little journals together of, you know, somebody keeping a log, somebody keeping a diary that tells a backstory. Now, you don't have to fill the whole thing. Another thing you can do is go online, print off a bunch of pages, or get a bunch of pictures, and then just, you know, tape them into the book. You don't have to actually physically sit there and write everything. Or get a bunch of, like, let's say you're making a book of madness. There's a player that is absolutely, or an NPC who's absolutely lost their mind, and you don't, you know, the players are trying to figure it out, whatever, and they see their journal of scribblings, mad scribblings. You can go online, pull up a bunch of, just type in, Daedric madness scribbles, something along those lines, and pull pictures, magic notebooks, scribblings, whatever, and then just tape them into a book. If you really want to be amazing and be an amazing crafter, it's a project I kind of want to do, is if I take paper, standard paper, and then soak it in tea, put it in the oven. But before I do that, print on those double-sided like it's a book, like book pages on both sides. Soak it in tea, put it in the oven for a short period of time, then pull it out. It'll be weathered and look old. And then you can actually stitch it up and bind it yourself. You Google, YouTube it, book binding. There's a lot of videos on that of how to do that. That's really a cool thing to do, rather than sitting there and filling out one of these. And it'll be more authentic in the feel kind of thing. But that, again, is where you're getting into price, and, because it costs money to have the materials to do bookbinding, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so, this is like a, $10 option versus your, $30, $40 options. So that's another thing to do. You can go, like I said, with the journals. It's a creative, like I said, storytelling element. And you don't have to just have journals or something like that. You could fill out a book of just lore. How do we know about King Arthur? How do we know about Gawain and the Green Knight? How do we know about Beowulf? How do we know about the Bible? All of these things are written down by, people over the centuries, and the story is just kept in a book, and that's where we kind of get an idea of this story, or this legend, or, this religion, that kind of thing. So it could be something that you create that your players find and experience. This one's I kid you not, 8 minutes before my players showed up to the house. Like, I had a bunch of scrap leather laying around from a project from way back when, or maybe I bought a pack of scrap leather from I was working on something, I think I was doing armor or something like that, so I needed some leather to do the straps. And so I had this little piece of scrap leather laying around. And I wanted to do something with, the players had taken out a group of goblins, and I wanted them to, like, something to lead them to something else, or to make it, the conspiracy, the magic bullet. And so when they found whatever it was on the armor, there was a brand. And so I just looked up, D&D symbols of stuff, and I had something in my mind, and lo and behold, I just drew in a Sharpie a symbol, which, if you guys are big D&D players, you'll know that to be the symbol of Tiamat. And so that was branded in the armor, and instantly the people do a history check, and they're like, they roll high enough. Oh my gosh, it's Tiamat, like the 5-headed dragon, maybe and it ended up involving dragons. So yeah, that's again another physical object that your players can experience and interact with, and it's a storytelling element. I didn't want to bust it out and grab, because it's downstairs and all that stuff, but my Curse of Strahd that I just got from Beetle and Grimm, they have a number of coins, like actual heavy minted coins. We already did an unboxing, so I didn't want to reshare something. But there's a necklace in there. There's, coins. For my game, when we're actually at the table for real and not digital, I have a huge treasure chest that is full of metal minted coins. And the players physically have bags of coins. And then when it gets to excessive numbers of 500, 600 gold, well, in real life, you're not carrying around a box of pennies, or a box of quarters, or a box of, you go and get, paper money. So I also have a way that I have bank slips that I made that are essentially lines of credit with the kingdom, and they're certified, and they have a wax seal on them. So the next fun thing we're going to get into, because you already saw the potion bottles, there's a wax seal on them. So I keep this box, and the fact that it says Dragon Lord on it is just because I'm a nerd. It's not because I went out and got a box of this. I have a bad habit that I smoke cigars on occasion, and the cigars I get, yeah, one of the boxes I got for a discount was Dragon Lords, and I thought it was really cool. And it's a wooden box. It's beautiful. I mean, look at that. Like, that's just, how can you not put your D&D stuff in a box that says Dragon Lord, right? So I will show you this box of Mystery and Madness. So it might look like a bunch of nonsense, but we will go through it. So a couple of things. I was actually using these today so wax sticks. You light them, fire, point it. Fire drips, and then you have a wax seal. So I have a ton of these wax seals. I bought a set that is Game of Thrones. So this is the Kraken. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe not. Well, yeah, I have the Kraken. I've got, the Targaryen three-headed dragon. I've got, the direwolf, all those kind of things. And then I have other wax seals that, you can find them at Michael's, at Joann's crafting stores. They're at Walmart, in the wedding aisle, if you're looking at Walmart. That's where I got a lot of the wax from. In fact, that's why a lot of it's silver, black, and white, is because it's, for wedding invitations. The other thing that I have in here is some interesting pens. So these are not ordinary pens. These are, so this one that is like fire emblazed around it, this is actually a temperature control pen. So if I write something with this, what I would do is I'd use a regular pen, write a message, and then I'd write over it with this to camouflage what was underneath it. If I take a match and I put it next to the ink, in the heat, it's like 140 degrees, it will make the ink disappear, completely invisible. And so the original message is readable. It's just a really cool, nifty, again, storytelling element. You want magic? Make ink disappear with fire. Another pen that looks simple enough, but if that one doesn't work. There we go. You can see that light up. It's a UV light. Both these pens are, this is more of a marker, and this is an actual legit pen. So both of those are a way for me to write on maps, write in journals, write in on paperwork, a bunch of stuff, secret messages. And then by the light of the moon, it lights up, or revealing a magic spell, something like that. And so that the players, even if the players know about it, they'd have to have some way that it gives it away. So, if they do a reveal spell, something like that. Again, it's me telling a story, you telling a story. It's a way to be a little bit more creative and take it one step further. So yeah, and then the last couple things I have in here, I know I pulled that key out of the codex. I went to Joann's a while back, I think it was, or Michael's, or Insert Craft Store. They have a bunch of these skeleton keys, which I think are really cool. So, skeleton keys, it's keys the players can actually physically hold and have. And in that pack, they actually have a bunch of little keys. Now, these aren't 28mm scale or anything like that. I thought about putting them in the dungeon as like a representation of something, but they're just so big. For me, I like the realism of, size ratio. So, but the big keys are definitely a cool thing. The last in here is when I'm at the table, I've got the players have you know, these potion bottles, and I try to keep these within arm's reach of everybody, but I don't want to make, you know, if every player, I've got, you know, 5 players, if every one of them has 4 potions, I don't want to have, and they're all different potions, you know, you got common, greater, superior, rather than give them, you know, a bunch of different shakers, I made little potion bottles. Again, I got these little bottles. You can get them at, I think they're at Michael's, Joann's again. They're in the mementos aisle, like I think for scrapbooking, that kind of thing. And I don't just have, and so I don't just have, like, you know, health potions. I have a black vial for oil. The rogue that I currently have in the game loves throwing oil at people and then having somebody light him on fire. Not him, but light other things on fire. So yeah, and then I have potions of other. Here's a yellow one of other, and they have a little cork in them, and that's how I got the color in there. I poured paint in. So again, it's another simple thing that you can add to your game to make it get a bit of more of a story. Crystals. Here's a giant crystal that I have, or I wouldn't say giant, but large size crystal. One thing cool I thought about doing with it, I did not do this for anybody who might watch this, a player of mine, but one thing I thought about doing with this is using my UEV light and writing on the crystal, and then using a more powerful flashlight, you'd be able to see the writing on the crystal. So, you know, it could be Dwarven runes or something like that, or, you know, a mark of a necromancer stone, or let's go Skyrim with it. It's a soul gem, whatever. You're telling the story, you know, you can make it what you want. So, again, I know we're going through a lot of different, you know, ideas, crafts, that kind of stuff. One of the most simple things that I like to use that doesn't really cost anything. I mean, it costs, if you have a printer, like not a 3D printer, if you have a regular printer, if you don't have one and you don't work at a place that has a printer that you can totally sneak in and print stuff, is making contracts, deeds, wanted posters, that kind of thing. So for this, the players, to all who bear witness, be it known the bearers of this document are accorded the utmost respect and assistance that may be recorded to his lordship or any who may be in his service. They are to be provided the immediate aid and assistance within reason by whomsoever they request. There's the, oh, sorry, it's on their side. The, you know, wax seal. It's a real wax seal. And then by order of, and I can fill in the, you know. So if the players, for instance, in my campaign, this is a letter the players actually carry with them. They're in service of the king. And so the king provided them with a letter of, essentially a letter of marque saying, you know, all of my governors, all of my, you know, leaders, and it gives them an opening into talking to random leaders and saying, we demand this, we need that kind of thing. Now you can only, that letter only gets you so far, but it opens the door. It wasn't easy for them to come by that either. They had to win like a championship battle and that kind of thing. Some other things, some of these actually might be from an actual game. I just went online and pulled a bunch of stuff of contracts. So this is a like a requesting services contract. I'm pretty sure this is from an actual game. But, yeah, escorting delivery of mundane goods to the town of blank in the blank. This is, you know, and so I can't remember if this actually had stuff in it. I blanked out all these so I can reuse them for whatever quest I'm running. If you've ever run Lost Mines of Fidelver, that's how it starts. Is the players are on a transportation quest, as you will, or escort quest, protecting goods that are being transported. Here's a deed of property for a house. And then I have a bunch of wanted posters. So, you know, the players can, come across. There's different, I think this is a gnome or a halfling. Another wanted poster. You never have too many wanted posters. So, those are things I actually do have for my miniatures and terrain. I have a bulletin board that actually has little posters all over it of, help wanted, quests for this, looking for that, places for hire. So that's something you can incorporate in your game. If the players come upon one of those boards, you can physically give them here's a it's like a college boardroom. Guitar lessons, take a tab. This, take a tab. So that's another thing you can incorporate, introducing like side quests. If you ever played, games like Skyrim, Fortnite, Elder Scrolls, Fortnite has a bounty system, and you go up to a bulletin board and take off a bounty. The Elder Scrolls Online has the crafting writs. You go to a board, take off a crafting writ, and they need you to craft this and make it of this particular material and this style. Get it done, and you have a day to do it, whatever. So that's another idea. You're telling your story. We've already talked about creating a campaign. We've talked about creating a city. This is how you add more depth and get the players more involved. Some players want to, jump headlong. You're going to have players sometimes that want to dress up as their character while they're playing, which is great. You're going to have sometimes where it's, somebody doesn't want to come out of their shell. They're very new to the game. They, don't even I got to understand the rules. There's no understand the rules. I'm a DM. I've been a DM for a long time, and I learn rules all the time. I get rule checked all the time. It's as long as you're having fun, you're doing it right. So, and like I said, you're just telling your story and making your story have a greater depth to it. So, but yeah, that kind of completes the show and tell, really. For the posters, I did throw out, I got this parchment paper. That's what I print all my posters and stuff like that. I want it to look old. It's not. I think it's like $20 or $30 for a pack of 100, but it's really nice paper. And then you can print something on it and then crumple it up and then uncrumple it and then crumple up. If you're making stuff on the computer, which is what I do, because I don't have the greatest penmanship ever. What you can do is also Google like fonts. So, like, for instance, on my computer right now that I'm talking to you guys on, I have the Ring Bearer font. It's literally called a font. It's a font, Ring Bearer. And it's the font from the Hobbit movies. I write it all the time. I try to put it on my work computer at the office, and our IT department is a block. It's no fun. But I'm gonna try. You can pull up medieval fonts. You can even get fonts that have the big embroiled letter. That starts off the manuscript or whatever. If you just Google medieval fonts, you'll be able to. The three I'm talking about right now. I've got a regular medieval text. I have the big letter with embroidery, scroll work, whatever you call it, inside of it. And then I also have the Ring Bearer font. All of those were free. Did not pay a single cent for it. I didn't get advertisements. I didn't provide my email address. It was just, I saw this, I like it, I click, and I downloaded it. That was it. So just recommending that. I think it's all I did was Google medieval fonts, and it was under a address that said 100 neat medieval fonts, free medieval fonts, something like that. So, yeah. But I know this is kind of like a short, but a lot of nonsense talked about, so just wanted to do it, like, again, a show and tell of, some stuff you guys can introduce in your games. Your creativity is your limit, and your limit is limitless, because you don't have to come up with the idea to invoke it. The Da Vinci Code, I got the codex idea. I bought the real codex. It's what it is. It's from the movie. Like, it looks exactly like it. It's, that's how it works. But now I'm reusing it for my game. If you think that, that's crazy or whatever like that, try putting an orc in something. J.R.R. Tolkien came up with the orc, fun fact. It's never been, goblins have existed forever, but he came up with the orc. It's not copywritten, it's not, orcs are in like every fantasy, high fantasy ever written now. And it was just him. But no one says you copied this or like that. Now, if you put a hobbit in there, yeah, you copied it. Yeah, it's weird. Orc, totally free reign. Hobbit, not. But yeah, it's a few ideas, guys. But if you guys have, anything, hit me up in the comments. If you want to see more, know more, when you go in depth more of how I, make stuff, or there's stuff you want me to show. I will give you an update on the Curse of Strahd build. We are done with the church. The church is pretty much done. I actually, right before the live stream went on, we finished actually taking the pictures of assembling it. You know what? I will show it on live stream. Give me 1 second. It's to my right. Give me 1 second. Alright, so here is the church in all of its glory with the roof. I didn't paint the roof, obviously, but the roof isn't in the manual at all, neither is the bell tower. I just thought it looked nice. And then here is the basement. So again, we're trying to stick as close to the actual what it's supposed to look like as possible. And I know here's more show and tell. So to kind of give you guys an idea, this is the map from Beetle and Grimm, that set that I did an unboxing of a couple weeks back. And this is what we are using for our our build guide, essentially. Now I could have pulled this from, I didn't need the big map, but it's really nice to set things on top of it and go, oh, that's where that goes. Now it does not translate one-to-one exactly. There's a lot of things that, just for instance, if you look at the beds inside of that, a 28mm figure will not fit on that bed. I can show you that. It's proof. So as part of our build, we are doing, there's a bed. We are doing, the furniture, everything is going to be, in there. So just, if I line up the bed, it doesn't even fit in the room. It's just, now if I set it that way, creative license, then it'll fit. So, there's a little bit of expansion on some things. Not everything is exactly one-to-one. The main rooms, for the most part, if there's anything, it's like an additional 3 feet or something like that. But yeah, so that's progressing. The next model is actually going to be the coffin maker's house and shop. So that'll actually probably be relatively quick, just because we're going to be using the parts from the church. Like I said, I want to make a modular set that will go through each one. And I will be posting, like I said, on our Patreon, each one of the builds, the upgrades, all the pictures, all that kind of stuff. So that will be there. If you can see behind me, the printers, they're both going. Getting more of the stuff, because after the coffin maker's shop, I believe we've got the wine vineyard, and that's much bigger. And I want to do the church. I did all in stone. I want to do the winery for what it is. It would have, like, maybe a stone foundation, but a Dutch contemporary top. So I'm printing a bunch of pieces to that right now, and then we'll start figuring that out. And the winery is like 3 or 4 floors. And then we're going to get into Castle Ravenloft, which will be... I mean, there's so many maps for that, it's going to be massive. So I hope to get that done sometime. I don't know how long that's going to take. But I got to first... The maps are so big that I've got to figure out, you know, what is all the first floor, put it together, you know, as just a map so I can try and use it as a layout, and then we'll go from there. So, it should be fun, and like I said, we'll be sharing that all with you as we go on. So, well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. If you have any questions, hit us up in the comments. We're here to, you know, share ideas. If you got an idea, throw it my way. I love incorporating other ideas into my games, and you know, it's a lot of fun. You know, D&D is meant to be fun. But I will see you guys in the next one. Make your fantasies your own. You know, let your paint tell your stories, that kind of thing. And let all your rolls be natural 20s, unless you're the DM. I'll see you guys.